She stood by the side of the road in her wedding dress, makeup running, bouquet crushed, eyes filled with tears. Cars passed, honking or staring, but nobody stopped. Except for one man. A man with a baby seat in the back, a tired look in his eyes, and a heart that had learned the value of kindness the hard way. That man was Jake Miller, a single dad who had lost more than most, yet still found ways to give. He didn't know her name, didn't know her story. All he saw was a human being in pain. And that moment, one simple act of kindness, would change both of their lives forever. Before we begin this incredible story of love, hope, and second chances, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment to join our growing family here on your channel name. We share real, emotional stories that remind us all of one simple truth: kindness can change everything. Now, let's get started. Jake Miller wasn't supposed to be on that road that day. He was running late to pick up his 6-year-old daughter, Emma, from a friend's house after finishing a long shift at the auto repair shop. Life hadn't been easy for Jake since his wife passed away 3 years ago. He worked 2 jobs, rarely slept, and sometimes wondered if happiness was just something meant for other people. As he drove down a quiet country road, he noticed a woman standing near a bus stop, no car, no luggage, just a wedding dress and tears streaming down her face. For a moment, he thought it was a prank. But when he slowed down and saw how lost she looked, something inside him said, "Stop." He rolled down the window. "Ma'am, are you okay?" he asked. She shook her head, barely able to speak. "I just need to get away," she whispered, her voice trembling. Jake looked around. No photographers, no crowd, no one chasing her. Just a broken bride on the side of the road. "Hop in," he said gently. "You don't have to tell me anything right now. Let's just get you somewhere safe." She hesitated for a moment, then climbed into the passenger seat, holding her dress together with shaking hands. Jake could feel her pain filling the silence of the car. "My name's Jake," he said softly, trying to make her feel at ease. "And you are?" She took a deep breath. "Olivia," she finally said. "Olivia Hart." Jake didn't know it then, but Olivia Hart was one of the most famous heiresses in the country, the daughter of billionaire Richard Hart, owner of one of the largest tech companies in America. But right then, she was just a heartbroken woman who had run away from a life that looked perfect from the outside but was tearing her apart from within. They drove in silence for a while. Finally, Jake pulled into a small diner off the highway. "Let's get some coffee," he said kindly. "You look like you could use a warm drink." Inside, the diner smelled of fresh pie and old memories. Olivia sat across from him, still wearing her wedding dress, her veil folded neatly beside her. The waitress gave them a strange look but said nothing. "I can't go back," Olivia said suddenly. "I can't marry him." Jake nodded, not judging. "Then don't," he said simply. She looked up at him, surprised. Everyone in her world always told her what she should do, her family, her fiancé, her advisors. But this man, this stranger with grease-stained hands and kind eyes, just told her it was okay to walk away. She told him everything. How her fiancé, Mark, only cared about her father's company. How she'd felt trapped, controlled, and unheard. And how, an hour before the ceremony, she finally realized she couldn't live a life built on lies. Jake listened quietly, sipping his coffee. "You did the brave thing," he said. "Sometimes the right choice looks like running away." For the first time that day, Olivia smiled. Jake offered to drive her to a motel where she could stay the night safely. He didn't ask for money or favors. Just gave her space, kindness, and the dignity she'd lost somewhere between her father's mansion and that country road. The next morning, when Jake came to check on her, Olivia was gone. She'd left a simple note on the table. "Thank you for saving me when I couldn't save myself. Olivia." He smiled, tucked the note in his jacket, and went back to his everyday life. Weeks passed. Jake went back to fixing cars and raising Emma. Life went on quietly. Until one morning, a sleek black car pulled up in front of his little repair shop. Out stepped Olivia, no wedding dress this time, just jeans, a white shirt, and the calm confidence of someone who had found her strength again. "Hey, Jake," she said with a shy smile. I hope it's okay I stopped by. Jake was stunned. Olivia? I thought I'd never see you again. She laughed softly. Well, I had to thank you properly. You didn't just give me a ride, you gave me a second chance. From that day on, Olivia became part of Jake and Emma's world. She'd stop by the shop, bring lunch, or help Emma with her homework. It started as friendship, but soon, something deeper began to bloom, something both of them thought they'd never feel again. Jake was cautious. He wasn't used to people from Olivia's world. But Olivia didn't care about class or money anymore. She'd seen the emptiness that came with luxury and the beauty of a simple act of kindness. One evening, as the sun set over the quiet town, Olivia watched Jake fixing an old truck while Emma played nearby. She realized that happiness wasn't found in riches, it was found in moments like these. Jake, she said softly. Do you ever wonder if we meet people for a reason? He looked up, smiling. I used to think life was just random. But after meeting you, maybe there's a reason for everything. They stood there in silence, the golden light wrapping around them like a promise. Months turned into a year. Olivia used her wealth quietly to help rebuild the town's community center, fund scholarships, and even start a small foundation for single parents. She never announced it publicly. It wasn't about headlines, it was about giving back, just like Jake had given to her. One afternoon, Jake found her at the diner, the same one where they'd met that night. He slid a small box across the table. What's this? She asked, surprised. Just something to remind you of where it all started, he said. Inside was a small keychain with a tiny engraved heart that read, Kindness saved us. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. You have no idea how much this means to me. Jake reached across the table and took her hand. You saved me too, Olivia. You and Emma, you brought light back into my life. And right there, in that small-town diner, a single dad and a runaway bride realized that sometimes, kindness doesn't just change a day, it changes everything. Years later, the townsfolk would still talk about them, the mechanic who helped a crying bride, and the billionaire who chose love over luxury. They became a living reminder that kindness, no matter how small, has the power to heal even the deepest wounds. Emma grew up watching her dad and Olivia build a life filled with love, laughter, and purpose. And whenever someone asked Olivia why she gave up her old life, she'd smile and say, because one man cared enough to stop. In a world where everyone seems too busy to care, Jake's small act of compassion became the start of something beautiful. It reminds us all that you never know what someone is going through, and sometimes, your kindness might just be the reason they find the strength to start over. So next time you see someone hurting, lost, or alone, take a moment to stop. Offer a word, a hand, or even just a smile. Because kindness costs nothing, but it can change everything. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to your channel name. Share this video with someone who believes in the power of kindness, and let's fill the world with more stories that remind us what it truly means to be human. Because sometimes, the smallest act of kindness becomes the greatest love story ever told.